It's the first thing that I hear is that, well, if I let my employees work from home, how do I know they're not doing the laundry in the middle of the day? I'm like, they are. And that's amazing. What you should be more concerned about is that they're working way more hours than they should be, because from all of our collective experience, we've found that that's been the hardest thing to manage.
Welcome to 33 Tangents, a weekly podcast featuring a rotating panel of co-hosts that all work together in the same company but live in different areas of the world. The discussions cover a wide variety of topics, from digital analytics to working remotely to current happenings in business and technology. Our regular day-to-day conversations often go off in various directions, and the goal of this podcast is to share our ideas and find new ways to engage with others. So Jason, we have a special guest with us this week. So we're joined by Matt Barnett, who is the CEO of Bonjoro. Bonjoro is a company that is disrupting business communication with personalized video emails. They believe that video is a huge lever to bring the human element back to business, and their motto is automate processes, not relationships. So Matt and Bonjoro are based in Sydney, Australia, but they have employees around the world. So Matt, welcome.
Hey guys, it's awesome to be here.
Great. So we just gave a quick intro there, but would love to start off and just kind of have you tell maybe a little bit more of some of your experience, share maybe some things. I know I kind of glossed over it. And would love to hear the inspiration for Bonjoro, because if I'm correct, I believe the inspiration came from a surfing trip.
Yeah, so I'm actually British originally, lived in Australia now for 11 years. Moved here, was trying to start a business in the UK, and yeah, I'm a big surfer, so I was surfing off the islands of Scotland and off Wales. I think it was one like February morning, and we were out in the water, and it was hailing so hard we had to come in and hide under our boards on this cold Scottish beach, and it put holes in my board. The hail was so hard, and it took us about an hour to get our gloves off and get going. I just thought, you know what, enough. So, I thought, it was a split decision. I was like, you know what, I'm going to Australia. I'm done here. So moved here. So I'm actually a designer, industrial designer. So I used to design like vehicles, mobile phones, like medical equipment. So very much not tech. Came to Australia, being quite an isolated continent, especially 12 years ago when there was no Kickstarter. Design wasn't a big industry here, so I fell into tech, which was kind of just getting going here. If you look at designing products and look at designing like online products, same process at the end of the day. The only difference is that if somebody turned off a switch, everything we built online would go away. But we built a company and we started servicing clients around the world. So we ended up working with large agencies, so customers in the UK, so London, New York, Paris. The problem in Australia is that if you have leads come in, you're always asleep, because we're like 24 hours, or 12 hours out of sync. So a bit of a challenge in terms of conversion. We used to take a boat to work that goes across Sydney Harbour and goes past the Opera House, which is a pretty nice location and stuff. So we were trying to mix things up to try and convert more leads. And I thought, you know what, I'll just send a video to every single person who comes into our funnel at nighttime, and I'll do it on the boat in front of the Opera House, because hey, who else can do that? So I pull out my smartphone. This is about probably 4 years ago, and I would get to the front of the boat about 5:30 in the morning, 6 in the morning, because I'm quite an early riser. So it'd be half dark. I'd be half asleep. We go past the Opera House, and we built a little hack where I'd see that John Butcher from Ogilvy in London signed up, and so I'd get on my phone and do a video for John and say, "Hey John, I saw you signed up last night from London. Yeah, obviously I'm definitely not in London. This is the Opera House. We've already worked with these other people who I know. We've worked on this client account and this client account, like Budweiser, who I see you work on, etc., etc. Obviously, we're based here, but we'll be in London in 4 weeks' time. Why don't I come in and show you more of what we do? And we would package that up and send it out. It was very manual at the beginning. We started to build a little bit of a process to get going, but the first piece of comms they would ever get would be me on this boat, 5:30 in the morning, going past the Opera House saying hi. And we tripled our conversion rates like straight away. And so we tripled the demos we did. And look, and we were good at sales and we had a good product. And so we ended up tripling the business like straight away. And so we carried on and we thought, well done for us. Next test, pat on the back, next thing. But ultimately, one of those clients asked if they could use this. And we were like, go ahead, use it with your customers. And then they started sending these out. And then one of their customers came in. They were like, oh, can we use this? And we're like, sure. One of their customers asked. And next thing you knew, we kind of put a price tag on it, and people started paying. And we're like, hey, I like money. And then it overtook the original business in like 12 months. And then just kept going. So that's
awesome.
kind of how it all started. Yeah.
That's amazing how often that seems to happen when you're open to those opportunities. And anecdotally, it doesn't surprise me. So we tend to work with very large brands. And in our industry, and I think just in general, we've been brainwashed to think that, you have to keep it business to business. It's, very staunch, like written rules for how things are done. But what we quickly found out is that it's people, and people crave that human connection. And I've seen that when we open up and share photos of where we're working with our clients, it's amazing how much it resonates with them. And video, I'm sure, just takes that to a completely whole different level.
Like it's nothing new. I mean, you guys know this, yeah? Like, go back in time, like 20, 30 years. Your butcher or your baker knew exactly what you wanted every day. You go and you have a conversation. Like we still do it today. Australia's a big coffee culture, so your barista, and if your barista moves coffee shops, you'll follow them, because you're not just going for the coffee, you're going for the conversation too.
Yeah.
So it's not different to that. Video is just, I think, especially like mobile data catching up and allowing us to do video anywhere. And there's also a bit of a learned habit now that we're more comfortable getting on video. It's just the next best thing to being there in person.
Yeah, fully agree. And as a side, I didn't even realize that there was a surfing culture in the UK. So you learn something new every day.
It's very underground. They did, was it last year? A couple of years ago, somebody in the west coast of Ireland dropped into a 56-foot wave. So the world tourists started going there. But it's not warm. Let's put it that way.
That's what I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine it's quite different than surfing in Australia, I'm sure.
No sharks though, so
I guess that's a plus. What part of the UK were you originally from?
I'm from the Midlands, so a place called Shropshire, so about as far from the coast as you can get in the UK. But did like 9 years in London, as everyone in the UK does.
That's part of the trip. You kind of go down there and cut your teeth there. Like I guess in the States, if like you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
That's it, yeah. Like it's States. You've always got a few options like Chicago, West Coast, East Coast. The UK, it's pretty much London, or it used to be. Things are going to change now.
Yeah,
I think work's going to become more distributed, but back in the day, that was what you did.
Yeah. So speaking of things changing, I'm guessing you guys have probably seen a massive explosion of your usage of your platform, with everyone being remote for the time being, both from a workforce perspective and from just communicating with customers. And I'm interested in, I guess, one, understanding, are you seeing that trend where people are looking to video? I mean, we've obviously followed the whole everyone's doing Zoom as a way to connect, but are you also seeing a similar spike? And I guess two, I'm interested in what you're seeing from companies, because I see two distinct camps. I see a lot of large businesses that are trying to pretend to be personal, but you can tell they're running everything through corporate PR and legal, and it comes out anything but personal. And I see others that tend to be winning right now that are taking their guard down and saying, let's expose who we are. Let's be authentic. Let's be real.
Yeah. So like to that last point first, it's a culture thing. At the end of the day, the way we work, like a lot, like most messaging we do is one-to-one. We do have kind of mass messaging tools, and we have like you can save videos on screen recording and stuff. But the core of it is the one-to-one stuff. And ultimately, if you as a culture are not willing to let your employees do that properly, it's probably not going to work for you. Yes. So we have large organizations using it, but they tend to be aligned. We have had other enterprise clients who are essentially like, well, how do we control this? And I'm like, at the end of the day, guys, you need to trust. Yeah, you need to let down the barriers. I think that's going to change. I think consumers are driving this, or customers, whether you're B2B or B2C, are driving that shift where for transparency and trust. Like, there's been a lot of chat the last couple of years around trust around companies online. I think it's come to the forefront in a massive way. And so companies that can't adapt to that, not all companies, to be honest, but a lot of companies who can't adapt to that are going to face challenges and hardships. And ultimately, their competitors who are transparent are going to win. And everyone it's easier to compete now more than ever. So look, I mean, look, this is a general trend. This is nothing to do just video. I think the whole idea of pulling down the barriers, we don't have to wear a suit and tie anymore. We want to connect personally. We understand, and we're okay now. The fact that our corporate lawyer is actually a family man with 3 kids and a dog. And likes to go surfing. Like that's good, and that helps us connect. And we find that doesn't ruin his professionalism, whereas it used to be suit and tie and these walls. So it's just a general trend. I think people are fed up of not being able to trust or not being able to read the companies they work with. So I would hope this is going to continue. In terms of video, look, we doubled everything within a month. Everything went up by twice. So usage went up, daily active users went up, videos being sent, and it's kept growing. I think it's interesting. There's a lot of talk around dealing with team remote, but I think there's probably not as much around dealing with customers remote. So Zoom calls are obviously growing, but then if you can't have coffee meetings or you can't have quick catch-ups, what comes next? Because all those subtle interactions, are part of a lot of, especially in services industries and I'd say on the corporate side, it's part of day-to-day business. So it's growing. I think a lot of people have been forced into it. I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I was going to bring up is I think that a lot of these things we're being forced into. And I think we're going to look back on it and say, why did we wait to be forced into it? As you said, these things aren't necessarily new. We could have and should have been using these approaches a long time ago. But I guess whether it's working remotely, using video more heavily or other things, I guess being forced into it ultimately isn't a bad thing because it's going to end up exposing a lot of people to it that otherwise wouldn't have been exposed to it.
Yeah, look, and it was always coming. Look, human adopter curves aren't that quick. We all like to believe that we're on things straight away, but things take a long time. So video's been in mobile, and we were playing around in it 10 years ago. Was I think when the first kind of video cameras came out on the early iPhones. So it's been there a while. It takes a while for us to get into it. We're still not there yet. Most people still aren't sending videos on a regular basis or getting on Zoom calls on a regular basis. Obviously, a lot of us business owners and drivers are. But this has forced that hand. We've had to do it. It's going to it's more opportunity than anything, because it means now it opens up where you can work and how remote working goes without the challenge of I guess being isolated. We can start to talk now a lot easier. It opens up efficiencies. At the end of the day, a 20-minute Zoom call versus a coffee plus chat plus transport, so much quicker and more effective. For team, same kind of thing. Transparency as well. I think think having little windows into people's lives is a beautiful thing. Again, I was talking to my lawyer the other day, and the end of the day, he's in his kitchen with his kids and dogs running around his feet, and I'm like,
it's amazing, right?
And I'm like, I have kids too. Yeah, this is great. And we start joking about that, and I'm like, yeah, great. This guy's a family man, which I am, and you relate more straight away. Personally, I like it. Yeah, there's less to hide behind.
Yeah, I agree. I was thinking about it the other day. So I'm a a Peloton subscriber. I have the bike, which is coming in very handy now. um, but they recently sent out an email saying, we've closed down our studio in New York. We're not doing any live classes. Everything's on demand. But now we have instructors that, at least for now, are going to be recording sessions in their homes. And I took a couple spin classes recorded from people's homes. I'm like, never go back to the studio. This is amazing. Like, I feel so much more connected, and like, these are actual real people. And, like, oh, hey, I have something on the wall that looks like that. The ability to connect is so much greater than, even though I was seeing them on video before, seeing them in a more natural setting, just, I don't know, it created that human bond.
And there's a nice thing here is that, again, like not to hark on about the times, but everyone's in this together, and it's things like this that bring people closer. Obviously wars and strife and challenge. So it's not like it's just you doing it. Everyone's in it together. Everyone's got a shared experience, which is, again, shared things that we have now in common and that we can relate to. So it's like, if anything, it's making relating to other people easier now. Again, I think times like this bring humanity closer, and it helps break those barriers down, because everyone's like, well, here we go. This is it. It's fine to do this.
Yeah, for sure. So I'd like to drill a little bit more into your platform and what you've learned about consumer behavior. From an analytics perspective, it's something that we're insanely interested in about, is how consumers interact with technology. It sounds like, so we've talked a lot about video, but it sounds like there's other pieces to it. I think you mentioned like a trigger behavior where you can align things with certain actions. Did I hear that correctly? That's part of what your platform does?
Yeah, so we only really function, well, 95% of our customers use us by plugging us into their other customer data sources. So CRMs, obviously, like your Salesforce, MailChimp, like email lists, EDMs, even things like Patreon and Shopify. So we do a lot of e-commerce. So the idea is, wherever your customers live, these video. So we are an asynchronous video messaging platform. So you're recording a video and sending it out, and it's generally done in response to a customer behavior. So a new lead comes in, and you're welcoming a new lead on board. A new paid customer comes on board, and you're looking to make sure that customer is properly set up and therefore activated, so they don't churn later on. Maybe a user has lapsed, so you've lost contact, or they look like they are at danger of churning, and you're checking in and making sure and trying to rescue them, or you're trying to drive reviews at a certain year, of the 1 year annual kind of turnover piece. So these videos are being sent in response to users hitting certain milestones or completing certain behaviors, which is driven by CRM or data source. And so when you're sending these, the reason is to get the user to the next point on the funnel. So if it's leads, obviously you're driving them to book a call, do a demo, complete this part of the setup that you can see they haven't done from their interaction in your service. Leave a review, do a purchase review, a document, whatever that is. So again, when it's like you're driving the next behavior, and then that again is tracked through. But the idea is that you're being notified at the right time to send these. So it's not an off the cuff free form messaging piece. It's very much part of a funnel and part of a conversion piece.
Got it. So where do you typically inject that in? So let's take an example. If I'm on a website and I'm filling out a lead form, is it presented within the user flow? Is it something that would be created, or are assets sitting aside that would be emailed to me in video form? How typically is that presented?
So usually sent through email. So depends on the customer. We suggest the ideal time to send these is kind of like 1 to 4 hours after a trigger's happened, depending on the trigger. So leads is really where time is important. So if you're filling out a lead form, and this is where we kind of run the analysis, highest open rates, highest view rates are 1 to 4 hours. The 1 hour is probably a bit of an average, and I think it's because obviously you fill out a lead form, you're often getting some kind of drip sequence coming through anyway, and so you don't want to have a couple of emails landing at once. If it's an hour later, then someone checks in, and they can also at that, because we feed off a data source or a CRM. Let's say you're not sure lead form. Let's say you've signed up to a software platform, and you've obviously played around. We pull in information from the CRM, so when the person does that video, they can see, hey, look, you've done you've done the onboarding steps 1 to 5, but you actually haven't done step 6, which is really important. So then when they send a video, probably the best thing they're going to do is ask you to do step 6 because they know that's going to lead to a converted user.
Right. What are you seeing from kind of a take rate perspective? I'm sure it's wildly different across industries, but one of the things that I can, I guess, compare it to that we've seen that I think we become so accustomed to that when we catch it out of our periphery, we just automatically click as the little chat bots in the right-hand corner. We've become so accustomed to closing that without even looking at it. We've seen data that, I mean, very low single digits of those being interacted with, assuming that video has a much higher interaction rate.
So across the board, and we have a huge range of industries, the open rates are 70 to 80%. So average is probably around about 73, 74. Some customers end up with 98% somehow. Look, I think there's a couple of things here. It is being done in response to a trigger. So there's a natural bias there, is that it's not just a random drip email or like, here's a blog for the random day of the month. It's being done following an action. Yeah. So obviously you're hitting engaged users at that point. Interestingly, it's going for email and still working well. We do a lot of work on inboxing around that. I think so when the emails come through that we're not embedding videos, they're actually presented as like a moving GIF. So people are kind of waving. It's quite unique. It's quite interesting. And I do think that what we've seen is that once somebody's watched one of these, they're actually far more likely to go and watch others because most people, the vast majority of people using this and sending it are good actors. Because again, it's not about so much the video, the fact that if you're stopping for a minute in a day and saying, hey, Jenny, saw you sign up from Utah, wonderful to have you on board. I see you've done X, Y. Like it's quite a feel good thing. It's generally not something that's faked. It's done the right way. People are pretty genuine. So the experience is very enjoyable for the end user. It's quite different. And again, it connects them with the company. So from what we can see, if someone opens and they keep opening more, so 70, 80% open rates, depending on the industry. Oop, I've just lost your audio.
That's because I was on mute. I'm gonna have to go back and pull up one of these emails I got, I think yesterday or the day before. I'm wondering if now they're using your platform. I got this email from a third-party solution that one of our clients uses, and they've had a change in account management. And this email is introducing the new account manager, and there's a animated GIF of him in the email smiling, like waving, like I'm your new account manager, and it links to some more content. I'm seeing it more and more, and again, it's one of those things, and kind of looking at Jim, it's one of those things I'm kicking myself that like we've never done. It just seems like such a no-brainer, obvious approach to connect, especially for companies like us where we work with lots of clients, but it's 100% remote. And even if we do go see clients, maybe it's once a year. It seems like such a no-brainer to integrate video content into our messaging strategy.
But so it's not. Here's the thing, yeah. So video is the medium. So I think there's a challenge here. Everyone goes, "Oh, video," and they just lump everything into video.
Fair enough.
Yeah, like a written email is not the same as a blog, whatever. Yeah, so like video, different types of video, different points on the funnel. This is very much a communication piece. Again, the reason these work, I would suggest, is the video makes it transparent and real, but it's really the fact that you're stopping for, albeit only a minute, to even check in with leads. Yeah, that's the thing. Like taking the time, and when someone's shopping around looking at a number of solutions or customers, and then one of them reached out and they're like, "Hey, we have time for you." That's the piece that's actually working. So, yes, video is amazing for this, but again, it's the fact that you actually do care and that you're willing to stop. That's the thing that really ends up making the conversion piece.
Yeah. How many of your clients are also using the platform to do, I guess, personalized messages? Like, if you sign a new client or you have a new buyer that they're sending personalized, hey, thank you for shopping with us, or thank you for, becoming a client. Are you seeing that trend as well?
Yeah. And again, though, back to the first point, this is done for a reason. So they might be like, thanks for becoming a client. So like take SaaS, thanks for becoming a customer. Now, most of your churn in SaaS will come from people, or a high percentage will be people who, although they're a paying customer, they're actually not set up or engaged correctly. Online courses face this too. So someone signs up and buys an online course, and all the best meaning in the world, they don't end up reading it or getting engaged with it. And so what they're doing here is saying, like, thanks so much for coming on as a customer. By the way, I saw you still haven't done this. Here's the minimal next step to take. Like we see, like e-commerce is an interesting one that we never expected would be like a big transfer list, but where they're using it is post delivery, doing a follow up a couple of days later and saying, hey, I want to check in that you've received X, Y, Z. Is everything to your satisfaction? Are you happy with it? By the way, reviews mean a lot to us. There's a link on this video to our Trustpilot page. Go and leave us a review. And that's crazy because it's post sale. So really, the reason is they're checking into Excel at customer support. But the back end reason is to drive reviews, and then obviously because if you do this as well, the chance of someone returning and repeat purchasing is much higher because I go, oh, this is a different experience. Again.
Yeah. No, understood. And I'm gonna plug a video because I want Jim to include it in the show notes. So a nonprofit that I think does communication and video really, really well is Charity Water. And I did a birthday campaign for them a long time ago. And for their 5-year anniversary, they shot a video for me. So I promised that if I raised my goal, which was $5,000, that I would dress up in a tutu and take photos of it, which I did, and I did. And Charity Water shot a thank you video saying thank you for being a fundraiser for us, and they shot it wearing a tutu. And it was amazing. And I still show people that video. And I was already connected to the brand, but that just connection made it so real that I've gone back and done multiple campaigns and donations. And I'm now a monthly donor to Charity Water. It's the medium, but it was just this little special thing on top that made that connection. So I really just bring it up so Jim can go find the video and include it in the show notes. So I want to pivot a little bit to remote work. So you operate 100% remote?
Yeah, no, so the way we do it, the way we had done prior to this is we're not a huge team with 12 full time. We're in 6 countries, which is interesting. But the way we've done it is that we allow a bit of a hybrid model. So if certain team members want to have a co-working space, we give them budget and they go in. So here it's only really works here in Australia, London, and the Philippines. The team might go into co-working a couple of days a week. States, Poland, South Africa is completely remote, and it depends on the team member. It tends to be, as a broad rule, the more extroverted go and do a few days in a co-working space. The more introverted don't care and don't.
Yeah.
So that's the balance. It's up to the team. Yeah, we don't have any full-time officers, and I don't think we ever will do at this point. It's been a learning curve, for sure. It's not an overnight thing.
No, it definitely isn't. And I think even those of us that have worked remote for a long time, we're still figuring things out. It's always a learning process. Interested now, has there been any major changes with the global lockdowns and just the overall downturn in global economies? Have there been unique challenges that you're facing as a leader with a team that's fully remote? And what things are you doing, I guess, differently or in addition to now during the COVID shutdowns to support your remote team?
Look, so I think probably it's a challenge in terms of personal on the personal side for individual employees. So we as a business are doing fine, and that's great. But obviously outside of that, again, for the more extroverted, again, harder not being able to get out. I think for everyone, to be honest, I think everyone not being able to see family is a stress. We've had team members who now know people who have it and have family members who have it. Thank God in Australia it's very mild, but in other countries obviously more extreme. Our team in the Philippines are there's lockdown with army patrols on every road. It's crazy. So I think the personal aspect, and especially I think it probably hits the younger team members more. So those of us who've done our time in offices and done our time in the cities, and probably have families now, it's not the end of the world for us. We're more remote anyway. In Australia, we live in Sydney, but we live on the side of a national park, so it's easier to get out. So that's less so. The guys in London who are stuck in like apartments in the middle of London, where you get out and there's still 6 million people running around, much tougher. So I think there's a personal side. I've seen we tend to do calls just for catch up reasons, for nothing more than culture, more often, and that's for a kind of culture perspective. People are more active on that side. I think it's still hard. It's still hard to be aware maybe which team members are finding it are struggling more than others, because this is one challenge with remote working. I think every challenge with remote working comes down to communication. Like, that's it. If you can solve communication, you're good. But because you're not in an office, you don't see day to day maybe who's finding it harder and who needs some extra kind of TLC than other ones. So you've got to try and, I think, instill a shared understanding of everyone getting on calls together, everyone connecting, everyone supporting each other, so that if anyone is finding it harder, then regardless, like at some point, some team member is going to check in with every single person anyway.
Yeah.
As a result, I think it's a tough time, and then you will see motivations change because of that, and you need to be fine with that. Everyone's going to have hard days right now.
Yeah, agreed. I was thinking about that yesterday and trying to balance it with, there's a lot of voices right now saying like, now's the time to, hustle more than ever and, learn a new language and do this. And I agree. I mean, I think it's a great opportunity to pick up new skills, but it's also, it's so exhausting not knowing what tomorrow is going to bring. And yesterday it was like 2:00 in the afternoon. I'm like, I just don't have it. And I'm just going to go lay on the couch and watch reruns of Seinfeld and be okay with that. Like I think it's okay to let yourself, because it is like this isn't normal working remote. I'm glad people get to experience the flexibility of working from home and what that looks like, but this is not normal working remote for sure.
Yeah, and I was chatting to my CTO the other day. He's like, the challenge is, I find it hard because obviously things are tough right now, and yet everyone's being expected to work harder. And I was like, no, no one's being expected to work harder. You'd be expected to work as hard as you did before this year. Like, nothing has changed. Like, you're not putting more energy in now, like at all.
Right.
Just do the same thing that we did before, which is fair. As a SaaS company, everyone works pretty hard anyway. But I was like, there's no acceleration here. Yeah, like it may feel that way, but actually just keep doing what we were doing before. There shouldn't be a change of pace. Still get outside, take your time. Because I think there's a danger when everyone's hanging around at home that, to be honest, people end up putting more hours into work.
Yeah.
Because you can't switch off. And I'm a firm believer that like balance is healthy, and at the end of the day, what you want is efficiency of work. Doing an extra 10 hours, but like a zombie, isn't going to help anyone.
No. And it's an interesting discussion, because when I talk with people that are anti-remote, it's the first thing that I hear is that, well, if I let my employees work from home, how do I know they're not doing the laundry in the middle of the day? I'm like, they are. And that's amazing. What you should be more concerned about is that they're working way more hours than they should be, because from all of our collective experience, we've found that that's been the hardest thing to manage, is separating work from personal. It's just always there. The draw of sitting down and hammering out more work is there. It's important to create that balance, especially if you're trying to build a sustainable company. It could be a very quick road to burnout if you don't figure out how to manage that.
Yeah, like what 100%. Yeah. So again, the way I see the benefit should be that people work the same amount of hours, but they're way more productive with those, because they're taking breaks and they're mixing up their hours. If they have kids, they can spend time in the afternoon with their kids. Like we don't care at all when people work. Don't care. Like, as long as the work gets done, that's all that matters.
Right.
I think learning to compartmentalize as you said, it is important. People need to have a different headspace. Some people do this by getting ready for the day and getting dressed up for work. Some people use different rooms. I like to get up at 5 a.m. and do most of my work before 9 a.m. in the morning. That's a great way to kind of get going. And then if I end up taking breaks in the afternoon, like I don't care. I'm like, it's fine. The work's been done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's learned behavior. I think you need honestly, I think you need 6 months to kind of get your head around it. It took me and I'm an extrovert. It took me like 6 months to really get productive at home. Because at the beginning I was like, where's all the people? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And going back to an earlier point, and I think this is kind of pre-COVID type of things, we tend to think that the extrovert is the one we need to make sure that they have the outside influence. But I've found, and I'm an extreme introvert, that this current experience has taught me that like I crave that human connection as well, and I'm missing simple things like going out to restaurants, and it's something that I don't think we've spent enough time as a company addressing, is supporting that need for that human connection, whether you're introverted or not. That it's important that we provide some kind of a support mechanism so our team members know that it's okay to go out. In fact, we're encouraging you to get out for your mental health. Like it's just not healthy to be locked up in your house working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
No, I think one thing is, I think the understanding of what makes an introvert and extrovert is kind of crucial. The take that I use, which I think is the best, is it's purely just where you get your energy from. It has nothing to do with social behavior at all. So if you're an introvert, you're self-generating. So you can sit in a room and your energy will build and you can put work in. Myself as an extrovert, and I'm pretty much 100%. I just need to have movement and noise around me that I take my energy externally and bring that in, and that gets me going. If I'm in a quiet room, I wind down and go to sleep. So it's nothing to do with how social we are. You have the most social introverts ever. It's purely about where your energy comes from. So understand that it's not about isolation.
No, you're spot on, and absolutely agree with that. I'm interested in a couple things from a remote perspective. What's one of the biggest things that you learned going into it that you didn't foresee running a remote company?
So I think communication.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, like that's the bane of our life. Yeah. So beware of never-ending Slack threads.
Yep. Yes.
I think a behavior we're trying to get to, which we still aren't at, we've been doing this a couple of years, is the idea of being able to have a video call without it being a meeting. And so what I mean is here, and obviously you'll turn around and say, hey Jim, we'll have a look at this. What do you think? And then 2 minutes later, you're all back to work. Now, how do you get that kind of behavior when you're remote, where you can go, hey Simon, like hop on a call for 2 seconds, be like, look at this, and they go, yeah, that's cool. Do this instead. And you go, right, and then turn off and then keep working. There seems to be this built-up thing now where if you power up the video, it's got to be a meeting, and you got to sit there for half an hour.
Yeah.
Which is stupid. Yeah. Like, so how do you do this on a more common basis? I think especially hard is with a team in different countries and different time zones. That's where that just exasperates. So, do not fall into the trap of Slack, because you will hit frustrations and you'll hit conflict. And if one of you is awake and one of you is asleep, and you have to wait 8 hours to get an answer, you need to learn to just leave shit and assume the best of people. It's very easy to read into written words and go, this guy is being a bit of a douche. And the reality is that person is just not very good at with writing. Yeah. They're not a copywriter.
No, that's great advice. Yeah, for sure. So kind of staying on the video piece, I'm interested in what you're seeing and what advice you have. Right now I think a lot of people, there's pressure to connect. We can connect a lot easier via video. I love being on video. I love having the video feed for our webinars, for our podcasts. But we have people in our company, and we also have clients, and everyone's kind of going remote now, and everyone's doing the Zoom thing, that don't like being on video. How do you address that? What recommendations and feedback do you have for people that feel maybe now more than ever this pressure because everyone else has got their camera on? They feel pressure to turn it on, but they feel completely uncomfortable doing so.
I think there's a couple of things here. I think in terms of customer comms, don't force it. If someone doesn't want to do video with customers, let them come to it in their own time. Look, team's different. Like video is important. I think for those individuals, it's understanding that video is the same as sitting around a desk. Like there's literally nothing different. It's not about. Somebody mentioned this to me the other day. It really stuck. I think they were spot on. They said that basically we've built video up to be a bit of a pedestal because our experience with video before recent years was always film and TV and movies and acting. And that's built a preconception that basically when you're on video, you're performing. And it's not something you think about, but I think they're right that it's a subconscious thought. And so now, so I'm saying video is not just video, it's purely a medium. Chatting like this, if we were all sitting around a table, we'd be having the same conversation. Maybe we'd be sharing a beer or a coffee, it'd be a little bit different, but the same thing will be happening. So start with team. If you trust team, getting on video should be pretty easy. Start with people you trust. If you have to force it from a team culture perspective, do force it because it's important, and people will get over it pretty quickly. Customer side, again, in people's own time. Ultimately, if someone in the team starts using video with customers and they get a load of success, people are going to go, oh, yeah. It's like, do you remember when you go into your first job and you have to do sales, you have to get on the phone, and people are super nervous about doing that, and then once you've done it a bit, you just get over it. Same process.
Yeah, no, great advice. What are you hoping to see as a positive coming out of I guess what we call the COVID shutdown? And I'm guessing maybe the answer is something to do with communication. But what positive do you hope to see come out of how we interact business to business with business to customers? Is there a lesson for us to learn here and something positive that we can take away and change the way business was rather than just saying, let's go back to business as usual?
Yeah, so actually it's not communication, I'd say it's culture. So this transparency part is key. I think we'll see a much faster teardown of walls, especially corporate side of businesses. I think there will be a shared understanding that it's the individualization of employees within a brand, and the brand's going to start to live with the employees more than with the company brand kind of logo, if you like. So ultimately, people will have to let go. I think they will have to trust teams. They will have to know that again, employees and the lawyer are both going to chat while they're in their kitchen and be fine with that.
Yeah.
So I think that will be the drive, trust. I think the shared understanding of what we've all been through will help be the glue that makes that a lot easier to step into. I think this is a great piece out of this. So, and as a result of that, more trust with team, better hiring, more remote work, changing of work hours, potentially more optimization of work because of that, because people are going to be more efficient. Saving, I mean, again, a lot comes out of this, yeah, but basically company cultures will change, and those that are more transparent, ergo more trustworthy, are the ones that are going to start to win and outcompete the old school brands, I believe.
Yeah, I hope so. So this is the point in the conversation where I'm like, Jim, we're like 3/4 of the way, 90% of the way through our time, and I've not let you jump in. So I'm gonna take a quick drink and let you ask any questions that you had queued up, and apologize again for doing that.
Yeah, no, I see my job on here is getting others to talk. But I wanted to pivot the conversation a bit and move into analytics. So Matt, in our email conversations, you mentioned you've got a thirst for data and analytics. That's the core of our business. So how does Bonjoro use data and analytics as part of the business? Because one of the quotes you had sent me was, you're like, every time, I feel like every time we improve a piece of the funnel, we uncover 3 more things we don't understand well enough.
Yeah, and this is a I don't know if this ever ends. I mean, you can tell me. But I think, like, and obviously as a business, you're growing and you're scaling. So, data, things that maybe weren't significant measurements before suddenly become significant measurements. And obviously, as your funnel improves, the incremental changes you can start to make have a bigger impact. So with us, I think funnels are a really interesting area. So bear in mind that we fell into this business and it wasn't something that we ever started. One of the challenges we faced was like, okay, right, so who are our ICP? So who's our ideal customer profile? Like, why are people really using us? And then how do you track that? So marketing efforts down to channels that leads coming through, down to how they come into the website, down to how those specific customer profiles go through the entire funnel, down to lifetime value, down to churn, down to upgrade and revenue side. And then from that, feeding that information back to marketing, which obviously is not something you can do within 2 weeks. So trying to get that funnel optimized for the right customers and trying to make changes at the top of the funnel that impact right down to the bottom of the funnel in terms of lifetime value. And then you start to break that out and you go, right, so when someone signs up for us being a SaaS product, it's all about product qualified lead. So what are the minimal steps somebody has to make where we can, predict that they will become a paid user? What is that minimum? And I say the minimal steps because the less hoops a lead has to jump through to become a customer, the better. And so, for us, it's around like they have to do 7 videos in their first kind of 2 days, and they have to connect up to their CRM, and they have to do those 2 things. And neither of those things are that easy to do. They actually both take like effort and input. So how do we improve a funnel so that everything we do is driving those 2 behaviors? Like everything we do. It used to be like, oh, 15 videos and this, and then we realized one of those we could cut out and didn't make a big impact. And then we start to bring down the number of videos. And so that will refine again. And if we can put it down and make it simpler again, even better. Or if we can find another mechanism that will also allude to a paid customer, then it allows to clean up our funnel. And then it also allows like business operations and efforts to focus on those users who are more likely to become customers. So again, give them the best shot, focus on them, and then bring them in, and then watch them and see how they behave over the next 6 months. And the ones that behave the best, feed that back in again into marketing and bring it down again. I say this like it's simple. It's taken us 3 years, and I feel like we are 10% of the way. Like as you get bigger, I'm like, okay, at the beginning it was like, right, turns out that anyone with leads is a good customer. Now we're like, okay, well, it turns out that people who are in SaaS or education or in specific industries are it. And now we're like, right, educators in this niche, in this country, in this area are the best. Yeah, and you start to drill down and down and down and down. I mean, here's the challenge I face: is like how do you balance? So with data, how do you balance not going too deep too early, but going deep enough? Because as you know, you can get lost down these rabbit holes, and then you end up to a point where the numbers aren't big enough to make a statistical difference anyway.
Yeah, so what we typically do, and the funnels are such a great place to test, and we set the expectation. I think to your point is that we're never done, because things are always changing. There's always room to iterate, but we recommend starting with really large scale changes, because those are the easiest to test and have the biggest impact. That's where you're going to see the biggest wins from a lift perspective. And then from there, it's about just continuing to squeeze out more and more from a gain perspective. So that's typically the approach that we take: is let's make massive changes. Let's find a version that is going to raise our conversion rate the most, and then let's iterate on that for the next X, and set out a roadmap to iterate that to continue to squeeze out incremental gains.
Yeah, like for sure. I think probably the exciting thing about starting a new company is you have some big levers to pull. Yeah, and obviously the bigger the company gets, those levers tend to like it becomes hard to find those big levers. Whereas right now, like we uncover big levers on like a monthly basis, and we're like, well, if we turn this, we can like double. You can still double conversion, or you can still double thing, which is massive. Yeah, it's like huge things. It never quite works out that effectively. And some huge levers you put this massive lever, you're like, this is going to change the business, and then then everything just carries on as normal, but then maybe if you didn't do it, then the growth trajectory wouldn't continue. So this is a
well, that's why you test, right? Like we think these ideas are going to work, but we never really know until we test it, and we have to be open to potentially being wrong or having forces that we didn't foresee impacting on how that traffic converts through the funnel. But I agree with you. One of the things I enjoy working with new companies the most, especially from a funnel perspective, is a lot of them haven't even thought about it. They put thought into the design and the look and feel of the funnel, but not from a user experience. What is the most ideal way to flow through that? And oftentimes we find very bulky and bloated funnels, and we can go in there and say, well, have you done an analysis to determine that these 14 questions are needed to qualify this lead? And they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, okay, let's start carving some of this away, and let's see how quickly your conversion rate jumps. But it's also just as important, as you mentioned, to make sure that we're following that through. It's one of my pet peeves with conversion rate optimization is it's often too focused on the funnel itself and not the lifetime value of the customer. So we can optimize a conversion funnel until it's running at peak performance, but if it's not creating the ultimate result, then we're still losing in the end. So it's important that you kind of set that as part of an overall funnel optimization strategy. Is yes, we want to optimize the funnel, but not at the cost of destroying the lifetime value of the leads that we're creating from that funnel.
Yeah, I like. So I guess kind of one thing I've learned, which is really important, is you need have failure, like almost like get some do some tests that if you have to that are likely to fail, and then promote that in the company internally and be like, look, we did this test, we put lots of effort in, it failed, that's awesome. Now we know that doesn't work because we found things where we've all the research points something to work and we've done it and it's had a negative effect and we're like, sometimes we don't even know why. We're like, don't know why, but that's just the thing that's happened. And you'll try other stuff where you're like, that there's no way that's going to work, and you do it, and you're like, wow, that worked massively. Yeah. And if you promote the failure, then the team are like, it's okay to fail. I'm fine with failure because 8 out of 10 things we do are not going to have a significant impact, but we won't find the 2 if the team aren't willing to try the 10. Yeah, and that's actually quite a hard thing to get to for most people.
It is, and it's something that we struggle with a lot of companies that have invested heavily in optimization platforms. Is we'll go in there and we'll say, what's your biggest frustration with it? It's like, well, we run 7 out of 10 tests that the control wins. Our program is a failure. I'm like, no, this is exactly why we're doing it. In fact, Jim has a client that he works with, and we recorded a podcast with him, and I wish I had the quote because he said it more elegantly than I'm going to say it. But he said, we don't even talk about our funnel optimization program as doing testing or optimization. We call it a learning program. I'm like, I love that, right? Because it takes away that fear of like, if we knew that taking away an element from a form was going to improve conversion, why do we even test it in the first place? Just take it away, right? So all our ideas aren't going to work, and that's okay. And getting over that fear tends to create a lot more buy-in and comfort in putting ideas out there that ultimately are going to be big wins.
Yeah, and I think so then the learning that comes off that as well is strip everything back. So try and do the minimal you need to test something. And conversely, I don't think a lot of startups are good at this. I think even though they're a small team, they tend to go and build the version. And I'm like, you know what? Build 10% of it, and if you can get it out. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it looks bad. People aren't going to care or they won't understand. But if it proves you and points you in the right direction, you know whether to go deeper or whether not to invest because your resources are poorer than ever. You know to just stop that investment right there and then. So we probably push stuff out earlier now than we did 2 years ago, and yet we're a bigger team, bigger company, and we're pushing out stuff, and we'll say to customers, hey, look, this looks disgusting, so please just ignore that, but tell us if it works or not. And if people are like, this is great, then you're like, well that means if we go into the thing, it's going to work. Yeah. That's going to be a struggle, I think, as you grow a team and you get bigger and bigger, trying to keep that lean aspect, so it doesn't take you 2 months to roll out a test that might fail. Which if you think about it is like, how do you grow? How do you do that?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. I think we could keep talking for forever, but I want to be conscious of our runtime. And I do want to give a couple minutes before we close out to give you an opportunity if our listeners want to learn more about you or to see if Bonjoro is a good match for their company. Where can they learn more?
So like it says Bonjoro, go to Bonjoro, sign up, free, complete to start. If you give it a go, you'll actually receive a video from one of our team. We'll reach out to you in person. So if you just want to experience
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, do
so
it.
I won't send yours because you know it's coming. So I'll let someone else get you. Could be from the States or Australia or the UK. You'll experience it, and then that hopefully kind of opens some ideas. And then here's the thing: like testing. Yeah, like we're just talking about testing. Yeah, you don't need to go get the whole company involved. Just go and send out like 10 videos to leads or to X on a funnel.
Yeah.
Honestly, see if it has an indication that it's going to work better than what you're doing right now. And if that indication is a yes, then chat to us and let's go deeper. And we have like about 30 case studies of different industries, so I can maybe share that out. We have like a funnel playbook, so you can start like spend half an hour on it. Don't spend a day. Me personally, if you want to reach out to me, please do. I had a lot of help getting where I am. If you go to LinkedIn and search for Papa Bear, which is my official title, I'm the guy in the bear suit. There's like 2 other people. So
Oh, I saw you in one of the videos. Are you wearing the bear suit in one of the videos that I saw?
yeah, that's me.
Okay.
It's the thing.
That's
So
awesome.
hit me up, like please, like if you have questions. But like whenever you say this, most people never ever hit you up. They're like, oh, But like when I was younger, I was so cheeky. I would hit up like anyone to try and get to talk to them, and the amount of people who respond, they're like, yeah, sure. It's amazing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Agreed. I love it. Man, this has been an awesome conversation. I really appreciate you joining us. We talked about a lot of I think really timely and important topics, and I'm for sure gonna go sign up and give it a go. I think it's an awesome solution, and recommend everyone else that's in a similar position that can make use of it go check it out. So yeah, thank you for getting up early, although you probably not too early from what you normally get up. I appreciate you spending an early morning with us.
Sun's just coming in. You can see it's not to hit now.
Yeah, we got a new gradient of sunlight in the background.
So yeah, thanks for having me, guys. You've woken me up for the day.
Awesome.
Well, thanks again, Matt. I really appreciate the time.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of 33 Tangents. If you enjoyed what you heard, please rate and review the show on your favorite podcast aggregator so others can find us. If you would like to reach us, you can do so by emailing podcast@33sticks.com or on the web at 33tangents.33sticks.com. 33 Tangents is a production of 33 Sticks, an analytics boutique.